Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on June 1st, 2024 at approximately 4:31 p.m. BST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I built myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I personally utilize to gauge virtually every action I make. Now, before we get into it, we're going to be dealing with self-worth, getting started today. The idea here is not to wait till the end of the stream. Okay, so much as to give you things to work with. So absolutely, if you haven't done so, take notes. If you don't know what's going on, keep a pad of paper handy and a pen. Now, the other option, of course, is this is literally the backbone that we're working with. We're going to go through it one step at a time. But, okay, now I'm not going to do the normal thing. I wrote this book. It's great. You want answers, give it, buy it. No. What it boils down to is this. These are the same tools. Believe in yourself and follow your dreams. These are the same tools that I personally use in my day-to-day life. Now, yes, you can absolutely buy the book. At the top of the stream, you'll find the link there for Buy Me a Coffee. Okay. And, if you go to that link, okay, what you'll find is all of the books are available. Okay. A whopping mind-boggling, and we won't go, oh, it's worth $1,000 and we're going to cut it back. No. I've got a $20 Canadian book here in your hand, anywhere in Canada or the continental US. Anywhere else in the world, I got to look at it. Because I don't know about you, but the shipping is insane in many cases. Now, before I go any further, we have, who do we got here? Thoughts on? We have Steve Knox is in with the gold. How you doing, Steve? Glad to see you're here. I know your day can get really hectic. Hopefully this is helping a lot. And LA Moon, glad you could join us. I tell you, we have been discussing, myself and my other half have been discussing almost constantly the trip coming up at the end of August. Needless to say, we're both looking forward to meeting you guys in person. In my case, it's not in person for the first time. In her case, it really is. Then we have Kevin is in here with the silver. How you doing, Kevin? Glad you could join us. And Joe. Now, here's a neat little idea for you, Joe. Joe Stewart is here with the bronze. Neat part, Joe. And you're in a almost unique position. You can actually take these tools when you actually make contact with your backyard neighbors. You can actually pass the same information on to them. Okay, which, in my opinion, is a great way to do it. Just because they're dead doesn't mean they don't learn. Also doesn't mean they're not active, by the way. And we have Joseph Lorenzen in with honorable mention. How's it doing, Joseph? I have already started laying out July's newsletter, and we are already gearing up to take more of the work that you've done. I haven't looked. I did catch your email about a short story. The answer to the question there, in a nutshell, is yes. I am taking on short stories. Depending on the length, will determine whether it ends up whether I take an excerpt of it and pop it into the newsletter, or whether I wait till I get an anthology. But I am putting short stories together to, down the road, when I've got enough, to put short stories into an anthology. And we'll discuss that at a future date with everybody. In the meantime, let's get started on building. What did we get here? I just noticed LA's gone. Sorry, the call got dropped. I honestly didn't notice, but that's okay. I don't have to. Heck, I had an accident outside my door years ago, never heard it. So the fact I didn't notice something, not a shock. But, when we look at literally building your self-worth today. Now, I know I've shown this to you before, but it is literally this important. You start. If you haven't done so already, take this sign, or more to the point, take the wording on it. I am worth it. Get it written on your fridge. Okay. That is the best place for it. Okay. Because the fridge is the one place that virtually everybody looks at. Okay. Even if all they're doing is passing through, and the only thing on the fridge is the emblem on it, or the trademark, or whatever you call that thing. Okay, people tend to read it. This is why adults tend to put their kids' writing and artwork and what have you on the fridge, because everybody sees it. But those 4 words will immediately start to help change the way you look at the world, the way that you look at your world. Okay, that's where we start. Now, once you get that sorted out, now we move on to step 2. And I will tell, like I said, these are real simple, because the method of building your self-worth is literally building your belief in you. And it doesn't matter what it is you're working on. I can virtually guarantee that whatever you've gone, however your life is right now, it did not happen overnight. Now, there are a few extenuating circumstances where somebody's life can take an extreme change very quickly. Okay. Mine takes a change whenever I wake up in the morning. It's like, oh, I've got this neat idea. Time to get them working. Now, here's the thing. I mentioned, and this will help you as well. Okay. My finances, as you well know, have been a shambles. For the first time in months, my biggest credit card, okay, is literally now under limit. Okay. Now, this means I'm in a position where what we talked about using a credit card to generate an income, in the next day or two, I will be able to do just that. Now, this does not mean I'm debt free. I'm far from it. But the tools we are talking about, put them to use today. Do not make the mistake of waiting until next week. I mean, in all fairness, you wait till next week to do it, you're still doing it, starting it today. Because today, in the here and now, is the only time you can actually make any changes. So we've got the first thing down. Now, where are we here? That sounds healthy. Fortunately, I'm not dying anytime soon again. Did that before, wasn't overly impressed. Now, tool number 2, your list. Okay, works like an absolute charm. And here's the thing. You start telling yourself, I am worth it. And absolutely, if you can bring yourself to look in the mirror, find some reflective surface. Look at the chap or the woman in the mirror. Absolutely, take a look them dead in the eye, and literally tell them, you can, in this case, you can look at the guy or girl in the mirror and go, you are worth it. Okay. Yes, it sounds like you're talking to yourself, but it's only because you are. Ken, how you doing? We have Ken Stockley in the house. Glad you could make it today. The reality is, Ken, I know you've got a lot on the go. I've been in constant contact with you. And, from my standpoint, it boils down to this. You can accomplish anything in life if you set your sights low enough. Okay. Now, I was talking to a gentleman, very, very, very successful in his own way, about this whole idea of how to wipe out debt. Okay. Now, he suggested, that came up really good. He suggested targeting the bills with the highest interest rate, which is a cute thought. Monetarily speaking, that is the way to go. Psychologically speaking, in my opinion, you target the smallest monetarily speaking debt. Okay. Because the less debt, dealing with one debt that is overloaded is way easier than dealing with 17 debts. And we'll get to a little bit more of that afterwards. But here's the thing. Self-worth is not the dollar value that you've got in your pocket. Your self-worth is not a monetary thing. But you will find, get the clutter out of your house. Okay, and we'll get to that in a moment. Get your finances in balance. Make sure your health is running smoothly. All of these things will help you feel better about you. Even changing your wardrobe. Now, I'm pretty certain I have to actually leave the house to change my wardrobe. However, I've got a few priorities before that. Priority one, always, 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 and I'm sure some of you have done this. Lord knows I've done it. Do your best to open the door before you leave the house, before you try to exit. Because I'm telling you, it is painful if you try leaving in a hurry and don't open the door first. But we've got the first couple of things down. All of these are interconnected. Now, I'm personally, and I'll tell you I'm lazy, and people will go, you're writing 34 or more books at the same time concurrently. That's not called lazy. Okay. Oh, nice, Joe. Joe goes, as of right now, 42 pages out of 90 completed in my dream journal, journaling number 3. This is fantastic. And just to give you an idea there, Joe, I'm doing the same thing in a manner of speaking. Where's the other one? Where is that one? You've got the dream journal. Okay. I'm doing the same sort of thing with my to-do list. Okay. This one is January to March. Okay. This one, number 2, is April through June. Now, I've already got this one set up, which is July through September. Now, the thing is, with all of these, with all of these, I'm only using usually 1 page per day. Okay, because it's just my to-do list. But I'll be able to look over them, just like you will out in there, Joe, and see what was going on. The journal, on the other hand, I am turning digital as I go along. And just about missed you coming in there. Philip, welcome aboard. Yeah, Phil goes, also, you could snag your shirt and rip it while trying to climb out the window. Yes, you absolutely could. Okay, there's a whole pile of things that can go wrong if you don't open doors first. But we'll get to that a little later if we get around to it. The thing is, okay, these are all interconnected. Now, the one thing, this is why I said I'm lazy. Okay, my understanding is it takes almost 4 times as many muscles to frown as it does to smile. Okay, now, that being said, I'm lazy. I would much rather smile than frown. Now, of course, I'm really lazy, so I don't tend to do a whole lot of either. But smiling is still better than the other option. Oops. Ellie goes, last time I went out a window, I fractured a shoulder. You know, last time I went out a window, well, no, not last time. When I was younger, I used to go out the window all the time, courtesy of my older brother. Only he never opened them either. So we replaced a lot of glass windows. And then Dad figured he'd be smart one day and he put plexiglass windows in. My brother still threw me out the window, but the window didn't break. It just got taken out of the frame. Okay, that's an excellent question, Philip. Philip goes, how to do more and worry less. That's the easy part. Okay, if you haven't started it already, this funny little thing here. Okay, I've got a list here of different things. Now, today's been really lax for me. I basically shot my entire day playing Skyrim, although I did make headway with it. But the way to do more and worry less is you literally take a sheet. If you haven't done so already, let me ask you this, Philip, and this is literally directly to you, and it applies to everybody else. Have you got a sheet of paper with 3 things on it that you know are required doing, that you're not content with where they are? Okay. And yes, I'm going to directly wait for an answer for you before I carry on with what to do with that. Yeah, sometimes you do, LA. This is why one of the things I did today, like I was telling Storm, one of these things I was doing today was literally teaching myself, reminding myself how to control my blood pressure, how to deliberately drop it. Now, I managed to drop it by deliberate thought process to 116/68 with a 75 pulse. Now, the thing there, I know it's dangerous to drop your blood pressure too low, but I also know that it's dangerous for me to have it run too high. So by learning how to bring it down quickly, I stand to have less problems down the road. So I'm gauging that side of it. Okay, Philip, this is why I said today we are working on direct interaction. I don't care whether you grab a sheet of paper or an electronic notebook, it doesn't matter. Take a look at the area you're sitting in right now. Okay, we're going to get you started on getting more accomplished and worrying less right now. Not in 10 minutes, depending on how long it takes you to grab a sheet of paper. Yeah, no doubt there, Joe. Joe just goes, I end up repeating myself like nobody's business anyway. So I write it down in Green Journal number 3. Anyway, absolutely. You would be amazed how many of my journals, when I'm doing a journal entry, there are literally weeks at a time that I go through it and I'll end up repeating the same message to myself. Okay, Philip, you've got a digital paper. That works. Okay, in today's world, that works great. Now, look at the area right where you're sitting, whatever's within view. Okay, spot one thing, doesn't matter what it is, one thing that is not where you feel it belongs. Okay, spot one, write it down. Okay, and that would be like, let's say it's a coffee cup that happened to be sitting in the wrong place. You literally write down, put coffee cup in sink or wherever it is it belongs. Okay, now you're not going to do anything yet. You're literally just getting things started, getting things set up. Pick one thing. Now, in my case, I take a look at things. I go, I'm not happy with this, so it's got to move. Like I just glanced over here. I've got a stapler right here that is not where it belongs on my desk. So I'm just simply going to move it instead of writing it down. That said, I've already got a list here of things to get done. But you write one thing down. When you've written it down, don't go anywhere. pick a second thing that has to be moved, that's got to be put where it is. Because what we're working on right now for you directly there, Philip, is the energy flow in your house. Okay, in your life. The neat part about it is that when you take the energy in a house is blocked by clutter, very much like water, the flow of water is blocked in a stream. If you pour, smack yourself in the back of the head, quit stuttering. When you put a bunch of rubble or a bunch of debris into a river, it blocks the water flow. The same thing happens when you've got clutter in your house. So once you've got the first one written down, write down a second one. Okay. And again, whatever the project is, you make absolutely certain it will take you 15 minutes to half an hour maximum to finish it. Okay. Write down a second one, right underneath the first one. Ultimately, Robert, you're right. And we will discuss feng shui in a bit. I can't put that in there. But I believe it is SUIE, I think. However, the spelling is not important. Okay. The neat part about it is once you get that second thing done, again, don't go anywhere there. Yeah, you don't go anywhere. Write a third thing down there, Philip. So you now have 3 items on the list. And that's where you stop. Okay. I got a bad habit of going way further than that. But you got to understand the way my mind works. We will get to the whole dream thing because we'll get to that before we get done. But once you've got those 3 things written down, Philip, and again, we are talking real time here to get this set in motion. There we are. That's HUI. Thank you, LA. And I will explain where the interesting twist is in that. But Philip, if we get those 3 things down, let me know when you got all 3 down, and we'll move forward with your next step. And bear in mind, people, what we are talking about here applies to literally everybody. Oh, Robert White, I did bypass that. By the way, welcome aboard, Robert. Glad you made it. Once you've got that down once you got that down there, Philip, then we move on to your next step. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, this is a real-time work in real-time effort for your life to shift. Mine's already shifting like you would not believe. Okay, for the first time in months, I've already got, with that little change we were talking about, I've already got my biggest credit card under limit. Well, Ryder, how you doing? I'm glad you're here. My weekend has been intriguing. I actually took today off essentially and put my feet up and played Skyrim. But we are talking real-time change. When I decided I was doing certain things with my finances, they've already been started. Okay, I've already taken the money that came in, got things organized, and I'm moving forward with it. At this point, because my credit card is now below limit, in the next day or 2 when it registers, at that point, I will immediately start generating an income with it. It's just one of those neat little things. Cowie, how you doing? Long time no see. Things have gotten intriguingly hectic, but they're getting far more organized now. And I'm literally, because we are working real time in changing your life And this your is the general your, all of your guys' lives out there. Bear in mind, these same tools I'm talking about, I am literally implementing in my own life. Okay, these are things that are being done now. I'm not waiting another week. I'm not waiting another 10 minutes. Okay. In fact, I think I forgot to write that down. Not the 10-minute thing. So what we are looking at is it is time to really start changing things so that you can have your life back in your hands. Now, yes, I'm picking on you, Philip. Absolutely. Perfect. Now, and Philip, you've got the 3 listed. Now, this is where you stop for half a moment. Okay, you could get caught up writing down a bunch of things, but what I find happens is if you do that, you can get caught up in the list. Okay, so you stop at 3. Now, the way this works, starting right here, right now, we are not talking about waiting till next week. Okay, whatever was on the list, and to me, it doesn't make any difference at all what it is that you spotted. Okay, just to double check. All 3 of those things can be completed individually in 15 to 20 to 30 minutes maximum. Is this correct? Now, if they only take you a minute to do, that's fabulous too. Helps you build momentum. Okay. Now, by doing that, I'll wait for a response on that. This is what I mean about real time. And bear in mind, what I'm doing here, just for your guys' edification, this is free. Okay. But what I'm literally doing with you right now, Philip, is the same thing I end up doing with probably 50% of the people I deal with that phone me for guidance. It's still this one-on-one thing. Now, Philip, here you go. Now, you've got 3 things there. Now, the way this works is this. You take the first one on the list when you get the chance to do it. Okay, depending on what it is, you might end up doing it while you're listening in. Okay, when you move that first item, you pick it up, put it wherever it belongs. Okay, once it's been moved, come back, check one item, and check that item off. Do not erase it. You check it off. Leave it on the list. Okay, you check it off and go to the bottom of the list and literally mark it, check it off. Literally write down a third thing. Now, yes, we're going real time. So, Philip, I'm not going very far. To get you started moving in the right path. Okay, and to get other people moving in the right path. Now, whatever it was that you listed as the first item, take a moment out. I'm not going anywhere. Take a moment out, pick that item up, and put it where it belongs. Okay. Hopefully it's a real quick thing, but I'm not going anywhere. This is, as I say, guys, this is real time shifting. Okay. And we're going to get, and because Philip, because you opened the door, we're literally getting you moving. This is something all you're going to have to do is continue to keep the pattern rolling. That part's on you. So pick up whatever the first item was, move it to wherever it belongs, and then come back and let us know. If you would be so kind as to give me a hand with this. This is literally a physical demonstration of how manifestation and how self-worth is going to be altered in your life so that you feel better about you. Okay. Now I got something here that just dawned on me. Actually, dawned on me a while ago. But somewhere in this map, I have a sheet. This one. Okay. This is a letter I printed off, and quite frankly, 2 weeks ago I was supposed to get to it. But things got really scrambled when I headed out of town. Now, like I said, I have a tendency of putting too many things on a list at the same time. Okay, perfect. Now, Philip, check that item off. Do not erase it. Just put a check mark beside it, or however you want to indicate it. With digital paper, you can probably highlight the item and just draw a line through it. I know with Word you can do that. Okay, but I have no idea what program you're using. You check that one off, and then pick a third one with the same qualifier. Maximum 15-minute to half-hour task. Okay, and write that as the fourth item on the list. Okay, now, when you get that done, and obviously, number one, guys, I'd apologize and say, I'd apologize and go, yes, I'm focusing on Philip today. I should be focusing on you guys. The reality is Philip is the first one that stepped up to the plate. Therefore, it's a freebie to get him started. In all fairness, it's a freebie to get all of you guys started. Okay, so when you've got that done, Philip, just let us know when you got the fourth item added, and we'll carry forward. Now, with the dream journal there, going back to that for a second, a journal, in my case, I don't call it a dream journal because I use it for everything. But I've got literally, probably, I wonder if I've got that program open. Journal. There we are. Yeah, my journal that I've been filling in is 11 pages. Okay, but it's done in a Word document. I've got a whole pile to still transfer, but I've been doing it on a daily basis. It's 11 pages starting in April and running until the last one entered here was May 29th. So I'm pretty much up to date. Now, I've got past journals that I'm still working on, that I'm transferring over. Oh. Oh, that works perfectly. That works perfectly, Philip. Now, you've got another thing on your list. Okay. Get the second thing done. Follow the same routine. Get it done, come back, check it off, and add another item. So you got a total of 3 on the list. Okay. And we leave the list there. When you get back from that one, I'm going to explain why this all works. But I'm going to wait for you to get back. LA goes, I had some clutter here too. I'm minding the store here, so I put the whole works in a small box. It'll go with me when I'm ready to get up. Absolutely. And this is one of those things that you have to look at there, LA. Sometimes you have to go, I'm moving it from here. Like, for instance, for me, I've got a dish. I know it's got to be washed. It'll go to the kitchen sink. And down the road, I'll go, I'm doing dishes. Okay. But, LA goes, it won't come off the list until I get it put up. Absolutely the right way to do it. Now, there is a lot of reasons why this all works. Okay. The journal, by the way, guys, helps you keep your mind, it helps you keep your mind focused on what you're going through. Okay. And we will get to the issue of what do we do with repeaters? In other words, you're getting the same thought, the same dream. How do you deal with it? Okay, and where does that come into play? Now, bear in mind, I literally am going through this myself. Okay, you'll notice if you look behind me, Okay. Yeah, you'll notice I got a bunch of paper in. That's because of the fact I've been working on it. Now, this funny little item here, I can deal with. Because I do only one thing at a time so easily. That is April to June. And all I do here, oh, yeah, you can see me. Good. Okay, all I'm doing, what is all of this? Oh, 25. This is stuff I've got to go through. But this here is my to-do list. That was 25. This is actually 30. So I'm missing a few pages. Sometimes I don't actually get things organized right. Can't imagine that, eh? But again, thought about it, needed to get done, it's done. Don't have to think about it. Now, here's the thing. Okay, now, the nice part about it is as you get the clutter out of the way, you will start feeling your energy level climb. Kind of an important thing. As you get the clutter out of the way, the energy runs more smoothly. There we go. I added four. So far, my list of things to put away. So far, my list of things to put away, then putting them away. I have books stacked all over, like I'm a 3D Tetris game. You know, I used to live in what I used to call a warehouse. Okay, basically the same thing. Box upon box upon box upon stack. It'll remind you I knew where everything was. But I understand what you're going through. Just to repeat, in case you guys missed that, Philip has said, I added a fourth. So far, my list of things to put away, then putting them away. I have books stacked all over the place like I'm in a 3D Tetris game. One book I've been wanting to look at, I can't find. Okay, now one thought. Change that word wanting, even in your writing. Change it to desiring to look at or choosing to look at, whichever is more appropriate. Okay, and you change, I guess it's two things. Even where you wrote, I can't find it. Literally write it down as I have not found it. Okay. Yeah. LA goes, Storm loves packing a truck. He calls it a frustrated Tetris tendency. Tetris was one of those games that was very different. My hang up used to be Ms. Pac-Man. Thing was, the average person playing Ms. Pac-Man at the bar would get 50,000. The good ones would get 50,000 points on the game. Now, bear in mind, this was in a bar. Okay. The woman I was spending a lot of time with, I was pulling out of the bar at that time. Right. We used to play Ms. Pac-Man, and we would almost always break 200,000 while we were drinking. We'd put one quarter in and we'd have the game for the night because we'd break 200,000 between us. The funny part about it was on one night in particular, I ended up getting 106,204. I was playing on 3 tables, and I had to hold on. Well, we both had to hold on to the table so we didn't fall off the chair. But that's a sidetrack altogether. Okay, and yeah, so to speak, more on that later. The reason this works, Philip, is because you get the clutter out of the way. The energy in that area will now flow much more smoothly. Net result, your productivity level goes up. And here's the neat kicker to it. you've got them checked off, the things you got done. Okay, you'll be able to say, here's the list I had, and I got this stack of things done. That will help you stop procrastinating. Okay, now I gotta go back up here to find out what we did. Way back up. I've got to go all the way back up because I made the mistake of, well, go way back up. Okay, Philip, where are you? Just quickly scanning down. There we go. This is how you're going to find out you've been doing more and worrying less. You see, you've got two things already done. Okay. This means you'll be able to look at them and go, I don't, number one, they're done. Okay. You only got one. You know, Phil just asked, how many points do you get for each dot in Ms. Pac-Man? For each dot Ms. Pac-Man eats. You only got 1 point per. But I think you got 5 if you took out a ghost. I think. Right. So, I mean, I played for a long time. Because remember, the girl I was spending time with at the time was also pulling the same marks. Now, here's the neat part. Getting your own stuff sorted out, you don't get points on a digital board. Well, technically you do, because you get 1 point for each task you complete. Okay. Now you can fudge it. You know, I've got my coffee cup here. I don't desire it on this side. I desire it over here. Eventually, it's got to get outside. So I get 1 point for putting it down. 1 point for moving it a little further over. You don't go there. Like I said, you keep the 4 items, you keep the 3 items on the list. When you get finished one, add a 4th. Okay, add another one to the bottom of the list. What this does is you will start to see a growing list of things you've accomplished. Okay, that you've managed to get done. You're not going to be worrying about those things being done again. They're already dealt with. Must find that. There's an article I've got somewhere around here in my stuff. Finding an article on maintaining a stable household. I saw I've got it written already somewhere around me. But I just do this because that one I desire to get written and into place. Where are we here? There we are. Now, the neat part about it, guys, and Philip, this is directly to you because we're working with your stuff right now. Oh, Robert's just pulling it up. There we go. Robert's just giving us the stats. Clearly, somebody knows how the computer works well. Ms. Pac-Man takes out strawberry and gets 200 points. A pretzel gets 700. The apple gets 1,000, and the pear gets 2. Then when you get the banana, you take out 5. That's just terrible there. And that's just terrible, LA. LA just goes, no wonder she was round as a little butterball. But I used to spend hours doing that while I was drinking. You know, for me, it was a lot of fun. Of course, how much entertainment do you really require when you're sitting there doing one-arm curls? Now, I was drinking Ryan Ginger, Tom Collins, Zombies, you name the drink. If it was portable, I probably was drinking it if it was hard. Matter of fact, I think the worst one I pulled was I asked the bartender about getting a 7-layer Pousse Café. She didn't have the right shot glass. So she turned around and she poured a 7-layer Pousse Café in a wine glass. Worked out well for me. You know, but as you get things checked off, okay, you'll find the list of things you've accomplished grow. Now, here's the neat part. When you look at that growing list, this will help you get more accomplished because you'll get into this routine and you'll end up turning it probably subconsciously into a game itself. Let's see how many things I can get checked off. You know, well, I started that particular night, I started at 8 o'clock at night, right? Because we got there and the girl I was helping get out of drinking didn't work that night. We got in there and the boss says, and her boss goes, we're not going to require you tonight. So we sat down to play Miss Pac-Man. We were already there and we started drinking. Well, we didn't quit drinking. Well, the game didn't get shut down until 2 o'clock in the morning when the bar closed. And when we opened, when the bar closed, the lights all came on. We looked around. I kid you not. We had like that much room, literally about 6 to 8 inches between our elbows and the closest to the spectators. Thankfully, the fire marshal didn't come in that day because when we talk about it being standing room only, it was literally standing room only. Somebody could have passed out in the crowd and they never hit the floor. But what you'll find with that list there, Philip, you've got 2 of them done. Take a look at it. If it's a small one, get the 3rd one done, and you keep the system rolling. Every time you do one, you complete a task, check it off, add a 3rd one to the bottom of the list. But leave the list there so you're going to get a whole pile of things checked off. And then you'll have 3 that aren't. Okay, now somewhere in all of this, I'm betting you haven't had supper yet. Well, actually, I won't bet that because I have no idea where you're living. But when you're making this list, remember to mark down, I've got to get a bite to eat, or I require a break. These things, too, you put on the list. Now, here's why it all works. Okay, when you get that list done, you're clearing the clutter out of the way, you're getting things accomplished in a trackable fashion. Because it's trackable, you'll feel like you're getting a lot more accomplished. Okay, and the list will grow. That will also clear up the energy flow in the immediate area, and you can start expanding outwards. Okay, that's the first thing it does. The second thing it does, okay, is the worry around getting that list of things done is going away. Because let's face it, if you've already stacked the stuff and filed it properly, you're no longer worrying about whether it has to go. Because it's already been moved. Okay, so hopefully that is making sense. Now, Here's the other thing. You can look at what I'm talking about, and again, you can go, that's too much work. Well, let me ask you this. And I realize, Philip, you're already doing it, therefore it's not too much work. But for those of you that are listening, going, it's too much work, ask yourself one question. Is your current method working? Are you getting things accomplished? Okay, if the answer is no, then you might desire to test this method out for yourself. Okay, now the nice part about it, Philip, is this runs all the way through the night. Okay, all the way up until literally you're ready to go to bed. Okay, because going to bed, and this is the thing, you don't worry about what time you're going to bed. Set the time you're getting up. Okay, when you go to bed, you can always get a nap later, but you set the time to get up. The most productive people on the planet. Oh, there we go. I appreciate that, LA. And that's the whole thing. If your method is working, great. If it's not, give it a shot. Okay. Now, we've already talked about keep a smile on your face. That may take some work, depending on what your life has been like. How can I smile when my life is in shambles? Well, there's a couple of reasons for smiling. Number one, I'm lazy. So I do my best to smile because it takes less muscles than frowning. Two, there's another old saying that goes really nicely. Smile. Keep them guessing. If you're smiling and nothing's going on around you, people are going to look at you and go, what are you smiling about? And you can look at them and just smile and go, things. Okay. You don't have to be specific. Now, the neat part with the whole list method is you're writing them down. You'll get to a point where you're starting to get tired. At that point, write down and go to bed. Okay. When you get done, the last thing before going to bed, you check it off, add a third thing to the bottom of the list. Now, when you get up in the morning, you've already got things ready to go. Okay. You've already got things that have to be done. You're not even thinking at this point, well, what do I got to get done tomorrow? That doesn't come into the equation because you've already got a starting point. Now, there are adjustments I made to my own. I've literally got a list of things I do when I first get up in the morning. And I've got the list of what happens is I get up in the morning. Yeah, but that's because of that look in your eyes. Lazarus, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And Storm goes, when I smile, people run. That's because there's this funny little sound that rings behind you. And it's a lousy rendition. You remember Jaws? Same idea. I do hope your day is going well, Lazarus. Now, the neat part about this is by having the things on the list for first thing in the morning, you're already geared to continue the path tomorrow. Okay, without having to worry about it. This results in a drop in worry. It results in a lack of worry, in a drop in your worry, an increase in your productivity level, and an overall sense of self-accomplishment. Okay, this is why it works. Because while you're getting this stuff moved where it belongs, the energy flow in your house is all of a sudden taking on a better air. Now, the other thing we look at, okay, this gets the stuff moving. Because the energy is now moving more smoothly, because you're getting the project sorted out. Oh, and Lazarus goes, I have employees to pay on eBay. I'm not sure what eBay is, but that's okay. Well, I know what eBay itself is. Oh, I think that was supposed to be Obey. Maybe. Now, the neat part about it, the nice part about it is when you're making these things happen, all of a sudden, okay, all of a sudden, oh, neat little sidetrack here. What we were talking about there, Philip, for you, okay, for you, it's your own home. But Lazarus, this same method works for a business owner. Okay, there are ways of improving the business flow, the energy flow in your business by taking this same method we're talking about and applying it directly. And applying it directly to your business. And I'll tell you, I've seen businesses that they went, oh, we're doing absolutely fine. And then they sat down and talked to me. I laid out a couple of changes. They put them together and all of a sudden went, and the people looked at me and went, why wasn't I doing this before? I had a client that I did the same thing to that I just did for you, Philip. She was on the verge of losing her business. I laid this same method out for her. 7 years later, she retired. Okay, she retired because she made so much money with her business, it got sorted around. Now, I'm going to make, I'm glad you're here to help, Lazarus. The one thing I will ask is if you would be kind enough to really pay attention to what you're typing before you hit enter. Half the words are coming up completely scrambled. And it makes it really rough to try and see what's being said. But that being said, this whole stream is to help everybody. Okay, because there's not a single person that is worth less than anybody else. Now, the nice part about it is the reason this works is because we turn around, you get the energy moving, you'll feel more accomplished. And because of that, what'll happen is you will end up turning things around and getting more accomplished. With that in mind, your mind will work faster. The worry goes away completely. Okay, because you get in the habit of writing down what you're concerned with and dealing with it head on. Net result, there's no carryover. Okay, the other side of it, of course, is you manage to be able to get, because it all ties together. You get the house sorted out or the business, you get your health sorted out, you get the energy, you get your energy working properly, and your mind clarifies. All of this works together. Okay, it boils down to people worry. In a nutshell, I've found, and bear in mind, with well over 100,000 clients, we can safely say I've seen a fair chunk of people worry. The reason it works is because you're looking at the things you're worried about and taking care of them. They're taken care of, there's no worry involved. But remember, this is stuff you've got to choose to do. Okay. And obviously, Philip, you're at a point where you're ready to make things happen. I will tell you, get in the habit of this. On average, to build a habit or break a habit. Okay. Whatever you're working on, Okay. Doesn't matter if you're building a habit or breaking one. Average turnaround time, 3 weeks. Okay. So with that in mind, what you will, Philip, do and what you'll find, Philip, you've already started the project. Now you've already started the process. Now it's up to you. Okay. You know how to do it. You've taken the first couple of steps. Now, the third step, obviously, and this is the hard one. Usually, when people are learning a new step, the first one's easy. Everybody makes the first one. The second one is usually something sort of like trying to catch your balance. Picture what a kid goes through when they learn to walk. The third one, the third step, is when you've got your balance back and now you're deliberately going, I'm taking a step forward, or I'm not, or I'm going to sit down and stop. You're at that crossroads right now, Philip. You've got the option of anybody that's been following suit. Okay, you've got the option now. This is that point where you go, okay, I now can carry this project on and move forward. Okay, that's the easiest way to put it. Okay, I'm betting dollars to donuts that you're going to be continuing on. As Ellie put earlier in the chat room, she had a method that was working. You know, Ellie had a method that was working. This one just works a little better. Now, I've got the advantage of I've looked at literally thousands of methods of doing things. This is the one that, for me, worked out head and shoulders above the rest. Okay, because I include in my list of things to do. Got to go to the bank and get this payment made. Got to go into my email and get these emails dealt with. And while I'm going through the emails, I'll come across one. It's like, oh, that's got to be dealt with. So what I'll do is sometimes I get 6 or 7 items on the list. Okay. And that again is another fabulous way. That's a way of marking them off. Okay. For me, when I do my list, and you can't really see it. Okay. But I get my list done. Okay. And then you'll notice there's check marks down on the side of the margin. I check them off as I get them done. Robert goes, Mortal Kombat judge voice. It has begun. You know, Robert, that's just terrible. I watched Mortal Kombat. Not a really great movie, but it was an interesting concept. You know, so now what we've got going on here, like I mentioned when I started this stream today, we are looking at real-time shifting, real-time altering of your life. My life's already shifted for the better in ways I can only barely start to explain. Yeah, I'm 38. Let's face it, Lazarus. I've got just a couple of years on you. And rest assured, I've probably had more heart attacks than you've had birthdays. Oh, perfect, Philip. Yeah. Phil goes, if it was in Mortal Kombat, the film would never end. It's kind of like what Sherry Lewis used to sing. Sherry Lewis was an icon in the ventriloquism department way back in the 70s. And she wrote the song that never ends. I don't recall the song. In all fairness, and thinking about it, probably should look it up. Thanks so much, Storm. Yeah, rest assured, LA, I'm not singing it. I've made that mistake years ago, not doing it again. Although I keep getting told by my other half I should. I'm just not taking her up on it. The neat part about all of this, the neat part about all this is it's all literally interconnected. And here's the neat thing, Philip. You got the path started. Now, you can take that same method and pass it off to other people. Okay, people you know are having trouble getting moving forward. The nice part about it, I'm taking my life, I tie literally what I'm doing in the way of removing clutter, what I'm doing in the way of my finances, bills, the whole 9 yards. Okay, including when I'm going to grab a nap. I'm tired. I've got to get this nap done. Quite often when I get tired, it's like I'm going to bed and I'll pick up whatever. Right. But then I check it off afterwards. But again, my sleeping pattern is real simple. It doesn't have one. When you get the energy moving, now what you'll find happening, because and remember to include, okay, if you've been doing a number of things, it's getting on supper time. Okay, literally, you turn around and you go, okay, I've got to get supper done. And again, that's one of those times where it's going to probably take a little longer than the 15 to minute to half an hour mark. When I sit down for a meal, I'm usually looking an hour to an hour and a half. But meals are necessary, as is sleep, and for that matter, entertainment. Okay, now the neat part here, in your case, Phil, you've got it started. Keep pushing it within the next 2 to 3 weeks. You'll find it's a normal routine. You'll forget to do the list one day and you'll all of a sudden sit there going, I didn't make my list. I got to get that list on. It will become a habit that is missed and it will help keep you online, keep you on track. Now, the other thing you got to remember, we've got that moving forward. Now, the other nice part about it is when you're doing that for your own home, works like a charm. When you're doing it for business, works like a charm. I had a client that he and his brother owned a restaurant. Okay, they were trying to open a second one, and they were losing staff and customers. So I gave them a couple of tools. Net result, in 13 years, they went from one restaurant to 7, 2 of which were in strip malls they owned. Okay, I've shown people how to take their businesses, and they've gone, "Oh, my business is running beautifully." Now, this is the stupid part. And you guys are going to sit there going, "Well, many of you guys will sit there going, well, if you're so smart with money, why are you broke?" Well, I'm broke because I didn't care. Okay, I didn't care for me and for my finances. Okay, as a matter of fact, remember I mentioned a while ago I had an estate that came in for $100,000. I took half of that before it came through the door, and gave it and loaned it to somebody else so they could land on their feet. This is why I don't have a lot of money. Okay, now I also told you just the other day, I think just yesterday, I figured out where I'd gone sideways. Now, Now I've got my one credit card. I'm going to be real blunt on that comment, Lazarus. I have never met a person that could not get their life sorted out. But the reason for you to go, I'm broken because I'm real, that is literally one of the strangest ways of making a comment I've ever seen. Because all real people are not broken. If that statement you just made was real, was accurate, everybody that was real would be an absolute wreck. Now, I will agree, society is in absolute shambles. But in a nutshell, now I could look in the mirror and do the same thing. I'm broken because I'm real. Okay. I look at it going, I'm broken because I've had some complications in my life. But I'm modifying them. Okay, now, the good news is this. I'm subtle, like a brick, so I'm not going to deal with it at all. This is why I've got moderators in there to sort out this sort of thing. Because it becomes a distraction. Now, when I look at what I've been through, I spent literally 55 years hiding from the world and hiding from life in general. Okay, I made a choice that I'm no longer doing that. Net result. Okay, Lone Wanderer, how you doing? I don't know. I think I recognize you from elsewhere, but welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. I made a choice. I was coming out of the shadows. Now, yes, I went way down to the bin to the point. I thought I'd hit rock bottom the other day. Found out I was still on a decline trying to pull out of a nosedive. Okay, but now things have turned. Well, in all fairness, Lone goes, "You've forgotten me already?" The neat part there is I forget people's names when I hear them quite often. Working on that little problem. But I'm pretty certain you went by, if I'm reading it right, you went by another name a while back. But welcome aboard nonetheless. I looked at what I was doing and went, okay, I've made some massive miscalculations. But the second I did that, all of a sudden the money starts moving in. I'm handling it in a way that has already put me into an incredible standing. Okay, I'm already coming above water. And from here on out, it will continue to climb. And yes, as I do that, I fully intend on turning the lights on so you guys can follow suit. Needless to say, we're going to have an interesting situation here. I'm running low on coffee, just a heads up, because I'm down to about that much. This is why I've got an oversized cup. I think I measured it. I think this thing holds 12 ounces. But I do my best. Absolutely correct there, Joe. Joe goes, nobody's perfect. Just try your best. Absolutely. And in all fairness, I look at it going, I refuse to try anything anymore. I just simply do it. Okay, but that's me. And no, I am not Yoda. I'm way too tall to be Yoda. And besides that, I seem to have misplaced certain things, like my lightsaber. Probably a good thing with my outlook on life. The nice part about it is when I look at the way my life is going, I see so many people going through the same thing. And all I've decided to do is go, okay, this is how I'm correcting my end. Now, do this. If you haven't found a way that works yourself, make these adjustments and see what you can do. See what works. If you've tried this method and it doesn't work, that's okay. It's not the only method on the planet. That makes absolutely no sense to me at all, Ellie. And that's rare. You know, I have no idea what that boils down to. But here's the nice thing. Okay, when you start the process and you get in the habit of making it a part of your day to day, okay, then you find out a neat little thing. And here's the other, no, not that one. One, two, yeah, we can do that this way. I'm just going to add something to my normal list here. And again, the list method works, but almost everybody I've run into has a certain routine that they've got to get dealt with first thing in the morning. I know that was God's doing, but that's another issue altogether. And Philip just goes, perhaps the Jedi High Council took away your lightsaber and erased that part of your memories. You know, it is technically possible. It's probably a good thing they took away the lightsaber if that's the case, though, because the capabilities I remember having as a child, not good with my current temperament. Was worse with that one. At least now I'm somewhat controlled. Okay, now what I'm doing here is I've taken another sheet of paper because first thing in the morning, I've got a list of things that I do desire to get done. So what'll happen in the morning, even if I've got 3 things on the list, these will get put at the top of the list so that they get done on a regular basis. Which boils down to my health, my master bed, as in, like I said, one of the first jobs you ever do in the day, get your bed made. The reason for that is it is one of the most annoying jobs virtually for everybody as far as I gather. To get that done, get my exercises done. Again, I am now at a point where I actually, for the most part, can do proper exercises in the morning. It is helping my health immensely. And the more your health is running smoothly, whether you're following doctor's orders, following a naturopath's orders, following a fitness instructor's orders, it doesn't matter. Maybe you've got your own method. My way of doing it. Pick my own method and make it work. Where are we here? One, two, three. Now, the neat part here is this is the list. Here's the list I now have for first thing in the morning. Okay, so whatever I've got left over, this will get done before it. Where's my eyeballs? Oh, heavens no, LA. Yeah. Where we go? Oh, Joe goes, I stopped going to church a long time ago for reasons I could not control, but I still believe in God my best. Absolutely. Something just to be clear, and we're not going too far down that road. But to be clear, Joe, I believe wholeheartedly in God, in Christ. Absolutely, I do. I'm not getting up on a pulpit here, by the way. What I don't believe in is a theological God, what they teach out of any of the books. Okay, any of them at all. Okay, but a Christian does not believe in the Bible. A Christian believes in God and Jesus. Now, just because for those of you who don't believe in God or Jesus, there's no problem with it. Call them a different name, believe in a different way of looking at it. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, doesn't make you worse than or better than anybody. You know, yeah, Philip, and this is where that came in. Philip goes, you could try a different one each weekend until you find one that with no unkindness from the pulpit. And that is not a bad idea at all. Okay. You know, my ex used to tell me she wouldn't take me to church because she figured I'd call the pastor on his sermons. Knowing my mouth wouldn't be a shock. But I've got a list now of 8 things. Now, the thing is, 8 is the number of prosperity, of expansion. Okay, so the 8 things that will be done that get done every morning is I take care of my health issues. Okay, which by the way, that includes these neat little things like get up, go to the washroom, kind of an important thing. Take my hawthorn berry for my heart, right? Get my shower done, get my, go to the washroom, get my teeth done get my teeth done, health. Then I make the master bed. Then get my exercise in, get the journal, read the 3 books that I'm working on, and then clear my office. Now that's the first 8. Now the neat part there's one that should be in here. Of course, when we get the master bed done, the other thing that's got to be done, because of the fact I can't leave the room until then, is get dressed. What do we write here? Yeah. Where are we here? Oh. Since there is the good book. Oh, Phil just asking, since there is the good book, what is the bad book? That's the funny part. I've read the Necronomicon. Okay. The thing is, the Necronomicon is part of the good book. Okay. And I know that's going to raise a whole pile of problems. But, Chad, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The thing is, the good book has not been butchered. Okay, it has all of the good, the bad, and the neutral options. Okay, so the reason is you cannot know what good is if you don't know what bad is. Now I know, and LA, if you would be kind enough to deal with this, that would be great. Chad has a live stream. Okay. And if you guys would be kind enough to drop in, give him a listen. Okay. Take a look at what he has to say. If you like what he has to say, okay, if you like what he says, absolutely give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Funny thing is Storm's gone. The bad book is the art of the deal. I've actually read most of Trump's work. And I didn't actually find it bad. The information is handy. What I found is the implementation of it is a problem. And Philip, absolutely, it is a complicated book. Life is wonderfully complicated because we keep trying to fit it into things. The neat part about it is the best way I ever heard it put was you got the message sorted around when you can explain the most complicated thing in the simplest fashion. Now, I will tell you this, just to throw a wrench in things. Thank you so much there, LA. I appreciate that. The neat part about it is once you understand that for every good thing that's there is an equal and opposite bad thing. Meeting in the middle gives you that nice little point of neutrality where it's neither good nor bad. All 3 components are absolutely required. All 3 of them are. Okay. And what you will find is as that sinks in, you'll start to look at the world in a very different light with a whole lot less stress. Once you understand that you've got control over the good things that you do in your life and the bad things. The basic rule of thumb I look at is this, aside from karmic law. If you can do something and stand up and proudly tell the majority of people, this is what I did, you're on the right path. If you feel you have to hide what you did from somebody, you may want to reassess the way you're going. Okay, for me, it's simple. I came to the conclusion I've stepped in a lot of landmines, metaphorically speaking. Now it's time to turn them on. Oh, okay. Phil's going. Richard Feynman was a theoretical physics teacher known for his skill in simple explanations for very complex science. His sense of humor is fun too. The neat part about it, I was told that I understand science by other kids my age when I was in school. Right. But I never looked down on them. I never did. Quite frankly, I wasn't really that tall. But what I did discover was as long as you treat people the way you desire to be treated, you'll find things work out a whole lot better for you. Now, the path you're on, Philip, if you choose to stay on it, will turn your life around where you'll get a lot more accomplished. Your worry will virtually vanish. Just remember, you only control what you personally do. You cannot control the way other people see you. Okay. Now, yes, I have my hiccups. Think of it this way, Joe. I know one family. The one parent was Catholic. The other one was Roman Catholic, was Protestant. They told their son, go find your own church. Don't take our word for it. Go find your own. He turned around and went to demonology. It was funny when you think about it. But I do agree with you, Joe. Discussing which viewpoint, where it sits, if this is not where we do that. Although it would be entertaining, be interesting to find out on off time how it works. For me, it simply boils down to I look at 3 karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And energy out, energy in. When you do that, you'll find your life takes on a whole different level of interest. The nice part, and I do agree with LA here, we are doing our level best in this place to make sure that everybody is treated in a safe fashion. Unfortunately, my mouth can get in the way, which means I'm not always quite that congenial, in case you guys hadn't noticed. But, oh, look at that. That's not bad. I will be right back.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Christine, how you doing? I think that storm has gone way above and beyond. We're here striving to put people's life back into a more stable fashion. Okay. Into a more stable fashion. And what does Storm come up with? The perfect intermission song from the old movies. From the old movie theaters. I absolutely love it. Phil's just going Voltaire drank 50 cups of coffee a day. I'm probably close to that. Joanne, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, Robert goes, you just about need a bank loan for cinema lobbies now. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, in all honesty, Joe, I turned the entirety of running the stream over to Joe in LA. Over to Storm and LA. Because let's face it, technology is not something I'm overly compatible with. But when you combine all the things that we're working on, okay, what we intend on doing on this stream is finding a safe way to let people all come in, find out where the hiccups are. Now, the problem is, and this is where you guys come in real handy, I can get sidetracked on certain distractions. Because what I do is I watch what's going on in the chat room. Because that's how I find out if you guys have a direct question. Okay. And unfortunately, every now and again, we get people in here that are, shall we say, complicated. Now, do understand, I'm going to say something here that is going to absolutely floor some of you. I discovered something, and I forget who it was that was in here the other day, taking a psychology course. But I discovered something that was absolutely stunning in my mind. And that is that literally, yes, there are people with clinical multiple personality. Absolutely there are. But most can be taught how to integrate them. Okay. And I will quite readily stand by that. It will take time. This is not something that can be cured overnight. And do not make the mistake of thinking people are faking it. Nobody few people fake complications. Oh, there we go. The reality is there are such things as mental illness. It's a very critical factor. Now, the reason I don't deal with it head on myself is because on this stream, I'm likely to say something that goes completely sideways with people, especially the people on YouTube. I've got no interest in upsetting them. Okay, I will tell you this though. I like what Phil says. Technology can be intimidating. Yeah. I think, technology can be. Problem for me, Philip, is when technology gets intimidating, I get frustrated and it dies. But it takes an average person, the average takes 3 weeks to break a habit or form one. Now, this list I just put together here, I've been doing it anyway. Nope, not that one. This one here. Oops. Should have done that in a different order, so we're going to rewrite it. Because we get up in the morning, definitely take care of health. Okay, now, neat part is we take care of the health, the exercise, then we deal with the master bed. Then we deal with the journal. then the 3 books that I'm in the middle of reading. I'm literally reading 3 books literally at the same time. Where'd my eyeballs go? Hey, the good news is, talk about diametrically opposed outcomes. I started playing with computers back in 1979. I still can't get them to do anything to speak of that I'd like them to do. And here Storm goes, "You're not, what do you mean you're not working? I don't care if you're dead. Get up, you're going to work." I do that in the physical sense. If you die, walk it off. Yeah. Robert goes, "There was a guy in the old Yahoo chats I attended that would get information people asked about. I followed his suit, and if I can get info, I'll share it." And I do, we really do appreciate that, Robert. Where are we? Nature. What did I miss? Oh, you idiot. Hate when I do that. Keep forgetting one item. This is what I get for trying to do the wrong things in the right order. But, so put that aside. We'll get that organized afterwards. Once I get done this stream, because clearly my brain ain't going to handle that one for the man. Now, Gordana, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Philip, as far as I understand, it's still here in some areas. In all fairness, I get kicked out of it. Gordana goes, "I need a robot for housework." They've got a vacuum that'll do that, but I will tell you a method. Like if you adopt the list method I've been talking about. Oh, he won't kick you out. He'll just fry your computer. That's all. Or tell it to give up the wrong information. When you put the list method that I'm talking about to use, you will find that all of your work gets cleared up with little to no effort. The one thing that I find so many people get caught up in today is there's all this bad stuff that is being propagated. All these things are going wrong. I remember I had a company come over one day. Had somebody come over for coffee and for as company one day. They walked into my house. The first words out of their mouth, "This place is a dump." I looked at them and I said, "You know where the front door is." I saw it 5 years later. Yeah, I'm thinking that's just a bad idea. Joe goes, "The last time I went to a movie theater was to see Paranormal Activity at night with my youngest sister, her son, and her boyfriend at the time, which was 2006. Yeah, that's a day or two back. I've been a couple more times than that. One of the things that I have found is this. If you look at no matter what tool you're using, and I will tell you, this is a prime example. You take a look at this neat little list method I've been talking about. Okay, I will tell you, you can look at this and say, it's too complicated, I don't want to do it. Absolutely don't. I do it because it works. Okay, but I will tell you, and this is going back to the issue of where's the bad book. If you look in the Bible, or in the Bible, in the Quran, in the Necronomicon, in any of the spiritual guidelines, including the Witch's Bible. Okay, if you look in any of them, and some people will look at astrology as though it's a Bible, it's the be all and end all. There is good, bad, and neutral in all of it. The question is, what are you going to focus on? Are you going to see what bad is coming? Are you going to see what bad outcomes are going to happen if you make a choice? Okay, we all have the same concerns. Yeah. Roomba cleans up dog pucky? No, Phil, it doesn't. It drags it all over the house. Yeah, but it does rub it into the carpets really well. I'm thinking this isn't necessarily a good thing. You know, the reality of it is this. You look at anything, any person, you can see good in them or you can see bad. The question is, which are you going to focus on? Myself, I just decided I was focusing on the good. Okay, because I see the bad. Do not get me wrong. But I find it absolutely fascinating that so many people claiming to work on the positive side of things will go, I'm positive the world is going to end. We're all going to die. We're going to suffer. And I'm thinking, okay, that's being positive. Depressing, but positive. You know, it's funny. And I'm not going to go into the, I appreciate that, LA. 15-minute time. Yeah, it did, didn't it, though? Robert, that is just absolutely terrible. You know, back in the 70s, there was a book that came out. Okay. And the book was literally titled, I don't know if you can find it anymore. At least what I understood, my brother found it. It was called Brown Spots on the Wall by Hu Flung Poo. Okay. Oh, I was very disappointed in that. It was like, I think September of 2012. And somebody came up to me and goes, oh, the world's going to end at the end of 2012. I went, why? This is what I miss. I said, what, pray tell, why am I never invited? In my lifetime, I can think of a half a dozen times when in my lifetime we were told the world was going to end. And I do agree wholeheartedly, the world is going to end. Absolutely it is. Okay, here's the neat thing. It's going to end by rough calculations in a few trillion years, depending on when our sun explodes. Now I gotta ask, I gotta ask LA. LA goes, I was disappointed. I dug the lawn chair out, the iced tea, and the chihuahua. I know what the lawn chair is for. I know what the iced tea would be for. But why in tarnation did you dig a chihuahua out? Or do I really want to know? I mean, I woke up on the, I keep waking up the day after the world's ended going, well, this ain't so bad. Oh, okay. Yeah. Now LA goes, emotional support. Storm, don't go there. You will get hurt a lot. I remember my brother years ago, speaking of getting hurt, he come to me one day and he goes, Keith, he's like I can beat you up. I looked at him and I said, oh. He says, well, I'm faster than you. I'm stronger than you. I've had more experience fighting than you. I can beat you in a fight. I says, little brother, I said, let's be clear about one thing. I can break both your legs with one swing, and there's not a thing you can do about it. He goes, how can you do that? He said, I'm faster than you, I'm stronger than you, I've had more fighting experience. I says, yep, but little brother, Dad's got a 15-pound wrecking bar, and you sleep. He looked at me and goes, well, that's cheating. I said, I never told you I'd be fair about it. You know, the reality is you can find a positive thing or a negative thing in whatever you look at. The key is to start deliberately looking at the positive. You know, if you're going to choose to continue looking at the negative, bad news, you're going to have two problems in all likelihood. Okay, there's an old saying that literally goes, misery loves company. Well, bad news for you, misery doesn't love company. Most people that are miserable end up alone. They end up driving people away from them. Okay, that ultimately is the biggest thing you have to look at. It's imperative, if you see something negative, find something positive that you can focus on. Okay, and this is why it is so important that, like I told one person, like I told one person, you desire a connection with people around you to work. Be honest. You've got to be clear. You've got to be honest. Well, what does the genius do? Goes out and cheats and tells the other half and is honest about it. I'm like, I don't think you got the message. I work with astrology, and I can look at astrology, at tarot, at palmistry. I can look at a lot of the different tools, and I can tell you bad things I see happening. But I will tell you, who wants to hear again, your life sucks? Your life is a shambles. Okay, who wants to actually pay attention to that? So I look at it going like, I had a client that literally she was complaining for the first 40 years of her life were a shambles. I said, look, and I let her ramble for about a minute and a half. I finally said, look, and I called her by name, not a name, her name. I called her and I called her by name. I said, okay, look, I'm not going to argue the first 40 years of your life were a shambles. But I will tell you, it's up to you whether the next 40 are. Frost, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, I gotta ask, and well, I'll leave that till afterwards, because I'm seeing a interesting situation here, right? But I'll deal with Storm and LA about that after the show. But the thing we have to look at is take a look at where your life is now. Philip came out and said, "This is what I desire." So, if you missed that part of it, because we're getting down to the bottom end here. Okay, that one, I'm going to ask Storm to bring that one to a close. Because frankly, I'm not even interested in tolerating it. I don't care how you spell it, that doesn't work. Like I said, and this is just a direct statement to all of you. Okay, to everybody, myself included. Frost, number one, hopefully you didn't drop out. Storm, if you'd be kind enough to remove Lazarus, that would be just great. Because I'm not dealing with this kind of treatment. This is supposed to be a safe place for everybody. So hopefully, Frost, you'll stick around. Lazarus, you're gone. Thanks, Storm. The reality is everybody has different views. Honestly, Frost, I have no doubt he's upset. I really don't. The problem is whether somebody's upset or not, that can't, that kind of behavior doesn't work. The reality is what we're looking at here. We are making this stream is aiming at helping take the stress people are going through and turning it around. Okay, so there's you should try some of the problems I've run into. Well, it only lasted for one comment, and the reality is, Philip, I don't have the tolerance for it anymore. I don't call it excitement. I call it annoyance. But we have a choice right here, right now. Okay, we as in society has an option. We can follow the path it's on, carry on into a tailspin, or we can decide to do exactly what we're setting out to, and in spite of all the chaos in the world, turn around and go, here's where we're heading. Here's the positive side of what we can do. Okay, because if people can come in here and feel better by the time they walk out, then I've done my part as best I can. I ended up biting my tongue a while ago, which is why Storm and LA are sitting in the seat they're in. Because we had a problem a while back. I ended up with a stroke with a heart attack because of it. Now, what level are we at? There we go. Yeah. Frost Kitten goes, I put the boxing gloves on the door. That means I'm going to sleep. That's so much better than putting them on your hands. Myself, when I have a bad night, I remember one night I woke up, I was literally gashed from here to here. From there, my forehead to my temple, from the base of my nose, all the way to the earlobe, and from the center of my chin, all the way to the jawline. My wife at the time wakes up, the pillow's covered in blood. My wife wakes up, looks at it, and goes, I don't even want to know what you were fighting last night. But we have an option here. I've decided to come straight out of the shadows and go, okay, time to make some adjustments. Time to turn the lights on and let people know that this is where we're heading. There's a whole lot of things that can be hung on the door, and some of them have a different meaning. But we won't get into some of those. They get into adult versions. I like the one they have at the hotels. Do not disturb. Yeah, absolutely. One thing that will help with getting tired there, Frost, is quite seriously, it's not a question of picking when you go to bed. It's a question of picking when to get up. Pick a time. Now, the most successful and productive people around the world, in any country, get up, from what I gather, between 5 and 6 a.m. local time. Now, this is based on a global client base well in excess of 100,000 clients, personal and business. I didn't bother getting the information from any government survey or any university survey. I did it from hands-on talking to people. Robert goes, they should have disturbed already. Enter at your own risk. The nice part about it, keep in mind, Frost, you are absolutely welcome here. Yes, you can come in and be having a bad day. There's no problem there. Okay, but do make certain that you let yourself know you are still welcome here. You didn't do anything wrong. Not that I can tell. Now, that being said, I'm looking at this and we are getting down to the wire. So I do want to say thank you so very much, people, for sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it. Storm in LA, absolute bang up job taking care of the annoying problem. Quite seriously helps me an immense amount. As for the rest of you, I will be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to start taking a look at how these same tools, this same issue of self-worth, is going to start affecting the world around you, society on the whole. Okay, I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.